episode of Let's Talk Someone Sick Sports. My special guest is Evan Zinger, and we will be talking Buffalo Bills football.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Zinger, and I appreciate Rob very much for having me as his guest on his show today.
Thanks for taking time to talk some Bills football with me.
Of course.
How do you think the Bills will do in the draft?
Well, if you're asking me how I think they'll do in the draft, I think they'll do great because it's big baller bean we're talking about here. But I know mainly you're asking me, like, how will they attack the draft and what will they trade up? Will they trade down? Those kind of things. I have a feeling that the Bills are probably going to stay put and take what they see as the best player available on their board. Whether I have a feeling it's very hard to say what that is position wise right now in regards to need, because of the different signings that have gone on in free agency. They've addressed their defensive line with Tim Settle, and then of course Big Von Miller signing. I'm not a fan, exactly the biggest fan of going running back in the first round, and I don't think there's any running backs that are good enough you can take at the first round in this draft. But there's a spot for RB2 now that McKissick sort of reneged on his deal. And I think one of the things that I really think they need to do, that a lot of people aren't talking about, is I think maybe in like the fourth round or something like that, a mid round, they should draft a safety, simply because Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are not getting any younger. They're both over 30 now, and they're not going to get faster. They can be smart still, but that can only get you so far in football. You got to be athletic and keep up with all these fast receivers and tight ends coming out. So I think that's their main strategy is what it usually is: best player available, unless it's something just drastic that gets thrown off.
Who do you think the Bills will take at the number 25 pick?
Again, I think they're just going to take best player available, but based on the way I see things right now, whenever I hear the term best player available, I, to a degree, think it's kind of crap, like in the sense that's like, okay, there's still a list of positions that they're going to consider over others based on need. They might be more flexible because of those, but like, if you're talking true BPA here, the Bills are not going to take, if hypothetically they have, say something happened and a quarterback that they really liked as a backup fell to 25, they're not going to take a quarterback because that would just be dumb. But I think probably it's going to be best player available at either corner, wide receiver, or defensive interior, one of those three. And I'm leaning more towards corner. It's just going to depend on whoever they see is the best at that time, whether it be I don't think Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley is going to fall that far, but it could be. I could see it being either Trent McDuffie, maybe trade back a little bit, or just take Roger McCreary right there. Those are probably the two main guys I could see them taking.
Will the Bills address like the defensive side of the ball more than the offensive side this year, or do you think it'll be like
about equal? It's, again, after free agency, it's a very interesting question to ask, because there are holes on the offense and the defense by terms of depth pieces, but there's nothing big in regards to like a mismatch. The only one that you can really point out is corner, and I wouldn't be totally against the idea of drafting maybe two corners in your first 96 picks or whatever, right? So I don't think they'll do that, but I wouldn't be totally against the idea. Um, and especially after seeing what Kansas City did to them right now, regardless of who beats who wins the Super Bowl, frankly, the AFC still runs through Kansas City, and you gotta stock up on things to stop Kansas City. They have the weapons on offense to go toe for toe with them by terms of scoring, but they're not in a good position to stop them on defense, regardless of how good their defense might be against a bunch of other teams. They just don't match up well. So I think they're going to go more defense, but I do think they'll address corner, and I think with their second rounder, assuming they don't trade back, they'll address their offensive line. And that'll be the first offensive player they take. So do you want to talk about what you think of the Von Miller signing for a bit? That was pretty exciting. It just happened about an hour and a half before we came on here.
Yeah, he was with Denver and the most recent Super Bowl champ, the Rams.
Yes. It's just he's been a great player for so many years, and even though he's, I believe, 30, he almost turns 30. I think he's 33 soon. I remember seeing that contract and seeing like, okay, there's a 6-year contract at 33. Like, Reggie White's not going to come around again. I don't think Reggie White, obviously, one of the best defensive players of all time. He won Defensive Player of the Year when he was 37. I don't see that happening again in today's NFL. But by all accounts, it seems like the contract is more like a 3-year deal that they can get out of quickly after that. But they just put it in as, I guess, hey, if you're playing a Defensive Player of the Year caliber still, then here you go. But it addresses a big need for the Bills. They needed, I think they were okay with getting pressure last year, but they did need help in finishing. And I think that Von Miller does a lot better job of doing that. I honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing the development of Greg Rousseau and Buki Basham. I hope that they can help generate more pressure as well. If they can't, I feel like we're going to be looking back on the season and thinking, hey, maybe we should have brought Jerry Hughes back for maybe 1 year. I mean, he's not signed with anywhere yet, so for all we know, he could re-sign with Buffalo for another year, if they're interested. But because he's a guy, he gets a ton of pressure, but he's just doesn't finish. So I feel like having a finisher like that, plus the potential development of guys like Rousseau, Basham, to a certain degree, Epinesa, that will help a lot in improving the defense. And of course, you, as a veteran player, you just get that mentorship, and he can help coach he can be like a little de facto defensive end coach to guys like Rousseau and Basham. So I'm sure that's something that Bean and McDermott probably considered as well.
Like, Basham wasn't part of the defense very much last season.
He wasn't. He was inactive the first few games, and I think they did the same thing with Epinesa the year before that, as a way to, I guess, get him acclimated to the league and get him just used to the flow. I guess they wanted him to develop more from the sidelines. I guess there's a the saying that you have the quarterback holding a clipboard. It's not quite the same with the defensive end, but It's same sort of idea. Um, I'm hoping they unleash Basham this year. He was a guy I really liked last year coming out of the draft. In fact, I remember doing my main mock last year, and I had the Bills picking Basham with their first round pick, actually, because I think I had the Jets taking Greg Rousseau. Oh God, it's a good thing he didn't go there. But yeah, that is a guy I really hope that they can continue to use, and hope to see him do better.
Do you think the signing was good for the Bills with Von Miller?
Overall, yeah, I do. I initially was very concerned when I saw that contract pop up on Twitter. In fact, I even sent out a tweet. I'm like, I don't know about that deal. And then like right after, I see Greg Thompson, friggin' cap guy, talk about, hey, it's like this long and with this number. And I'm like, I don't know why I didn't just like look him up first and see what he had to say on it. But once I saw the contract, it'll be great for the Bills to just try to go after that Super Bowl this year, and if they run to Kansas City, they can, you know, there's a wording I don't want to use, so I'm trying to like figure out how to say it in a different way. It's too crude, but I Von Miller will do a better job fully sacking Mahomes as opposed to just having him run around and end up picking up 12-yard gains like he was doing in the game in the divisional playoffs last year.
Lee, how do you think the Bills could have changed that the last 13 seconds of that game?
Oh gosh, so many calculations, and there's probably a million numbers that went through the coaches' heads in those last 13 seconds, because those 13 seconds probably felt like 13 hours, frankly. So many different things. It's easy to talk about it looking back on it, because in the moment I don't know what I would have done. It's funny because I'm a big Wheel of Fortune watcher. I'm probably, the people who watch Wheel of Fortune, it's like people who are like 70 plus, and then my mother, and then me. And that's basically it. But people all the time on that show have stupid guesses, and we all laugh at them. And it's like, well, let's be honest. If we were up there, we're on TV, there's lights on us, we're all nervous. A lot of us would probably have what seemed to be dumb guesses like that. So yeah, like with the 13 seconds thing, very easy to look back on it and say, oh, it would have been smart to do this. But I think some of it just comes down to just the human element. And some of the coaches were just stressed. McDermott was panicking, didn't know what to do, didn't expect to be in that position. And whether messages got crossed or it just ended up the way it did. And I think if you do that same situation 100 more times, I think the Bills, win more often than not. But there's just like one or two things change and you're okay. But
Yeah, like do you think Brandon Bean will do any other like things in free agency
I
coming
think
up?
it's more of what he won't do. I think, or I guess, no, I was thinking for a second, I'm like, he won't re-sign Beasley, but I forgot that Beasley's he's still got another year. So I think releasing Beasley is probably one of those big things, because I remember when they signed Miller and now they signed OJ Howard. So there's another 3.5 year or 3.5 million onto the cap. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, where's this cap money coming from? So there are some players that are gonna have to go. Probably Star will get, or not probably, but I think Star might get cut potentially. And then I'm pretty sure that Beasley's going to, because that'll figure up a fair amount of space. But other than that, I think they've signed all the players that they really can at this point.
Do you think Beasley would be tradable at this point?
No, I don't think so. Simply, it has nothing to do with, his personality or anything like that. He's still a really good receiver, but he's older and he's got 1 year left on his contract. And there's a lot of other options out there that are faster and are significantly younger, that you can probably get for around the same price, if not cheaper. The only type of team I think you could probably trade him with is a team that is just completely desperate and they just like need to sign a wide receiver or need to just get a wide receiver immediately. And at best for that, you get like a 7th-round pick. I don't think there's much value in trading him. So I think you're probably just better off just cutting him, saving yourself the hassle of talking with other teams and just getting that cap room.
Do you have any other questions?
I think I'm okay. I've had a great time talking with you. It's been a very big pleasure meeting you, and I'm glad that I could come on here and talk with you.
Yeah, it was fun talking Bills football and talking about the free agency and league.
It's always fun doing that kind of stuff, shooting the stuff with any Bills fan. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, like trying to talk to other Bills Mafia members or
I'm currently in a okay, so I go on the Bills subreddit, and then there's a group of us from there that have a Discord server. So we talk like they're like crazy. It gets a bit adult sometimes, but it's good conversation over there. And yeah, it's nice having especially today's technology and stuff like that, being able to just talk with Bills fans anytime. It's 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't sleep. You want to talk some Bills football? Boom, you can right there. It's great stuff.
where could my viewers or listeners find your content at?
So you can find me personally on Twitter, or as I am known by, or as my title is Bills Observer Evan Zinger. Just sort of a nod to some people who have criticized some of my takes in the past. And it's my tag or my handle is at Evan Zinger, EVAN_ZINGER. You could also follow more of my platform or content at Bills Mafia North on Twitter, or just the name Bills Mafia North on YouTube. There's highlights, there's reactions, breakdowns, good stuff.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Let's Talk 716 Sports. Thank you to my special guest, Evan Zinger, and go Bills.
Go Bills.